From the News Channel 5 Network, this is SportsLine.
All right, welcome inside the SportsLine, everybody, here on News Channel 5 Plus. Glad you're with us on this Wednesday night. It's the usual Wednesday extravaganza. Your phone calls are welcome, of course. Coming up after our first break, we're going to talk with Rod Reed, the head coach of Tennessee State football. The Tigers beginning spring practice this week, so we'll get his thoughts on Big Blue as they get an early jump on the 2016 season. Also going to hear from some Predators players, head coach Peter Laviolette. Preds playing some really good hockey right now. They continue to play well. They've really played well the last 2 months as they steamroll into the playoffs. They host the Vancouver Canucks tomorrow night. Big win over the LA Kings back on Monday night, 5-2. So all systems appear to be go with the Nashville Predators. If you want to get some Preds talk, some hockey talk in, we can do that. 737-7767 is the number to call. We welcome your phone calls, as always, here on the Wednesday extravaganza. Want to start with the Tennessee Titans, though, and an article out of Pro Football Talk today. It seems like these things keep coming up when it comes to the two-tone blue. There's more talk of there being dysfunction amongst the Titans ownership. The fact that, in fact, one person even called it a quote-unquote a mess still. And it brings up the possibility, according to what we're reading in Pro Football Talk, that the Titans could still be for sale. Now, of course, Amy Adams Strunk is the controlling owner of the Tennessee Titans. She has come out. She's been very visible and vocal recently, doing a number of interviews, appearing at the Titans season ticket holders luncheon and dinner several weeks back, saying emphatically that the Titans aren't for sale. But apparently the NFL still has a problem with the fact that Amy Adams Strunk is a controlling owner and she is not the majority owner of the Tennessee Titans. That apparently is a problem for the National Football League. Of course, the owners' meeting is going on as we speak in Boca Raton. A couple of rules changes we'll tell you about later on in the show. We can get into that as well. I look at where the Titans are, and by no means am I going to sit here and say that this is going to be a team that turns it around and becomes a winning franchise. I think the potential is there. I look at the hiring of John Robinson. I look at the retaining of Mike Mularkey as head coach. John Robinson, of course, the general manager. I look at some of the staff changes on Mularkey's coaching staff. I look at some of the free agent pickups. They trade for DeMarco Murray. This has the makings of a team that could possibly turn things around sooner rather than later. But this whole ownership thing still seems to be a cloud over the Tennessee Titans. So we want to get your thoughts on that tonight. A very open question for you to start with tonight on SportsLine. Where are you at with the Tennessee Titans from an overall perspective? Coaching, front office, player acquisition. Remember, the draft's still coming up. They still have the #1 draft pick. Where are you on the Tennessee Titans? Are you starting to feel better about where this team can go potentially, or are you still on the negative side? Do you still see this as just a bad football team that's won only 5 games the last 2 years? I want to get your thoughts on that. 737-7767. Where are you on the Tennessee Titans? Also, getting back from St. Louis on Sunday, I covered the Middle Tennessee State-Syracuse game. Of course, the Blue Raiders, an incredible run, a short one, but a very significant run through this year's NCAA tournament. The huge upset over Michigan State on Friday, a 15 beating a 2, only the 8th time that's ever happened in the tournament's history. They beat a very good Michigan State team who many thought were going to possibly cut down the nets when it was all said and done. A representative showing at least for a half and a couple of minutes against Syracuse. They shot poorly the entire game, of course, just 30%. Jim Boeheim's 2-3 zone really doing a number on the Middle Tennessee State shooters. But one of the things I thought was very significant was the fact that after the game, head coach Kermit Davis was very, very accommodating with the media. He was, he had a smile on his face. I think he understood the big picture that Middle Tennessee State is a team that, is now on the map. When you're a 15 and you beat a 2, especially if that 2 is Michigan State and that head coach on the other side is Tom Izzo, when you do that in an NCAA tournament, that's going to turn heads. And I think the arrow is pointing up for Middle Tennessee State. I like their thinking after the game. I like the fact that they know this could be the start of something big in Murfreesboro. And I give head coach Kermit Davis and his team a lot of credit for their run. You know, the entire postseason I thought was pretty good. Winning the Conference USA tournament, they hadn't done that since the late 80s, I believe. Of course, the win over Michigan State, and a representative showing, at least for a while, against Syracuse. If you have any remaining thoughts on what you saw from the Blue Raiders and your remaining thoughts on the rest of the NCAA tournament, who's the favorite now? Of course, all 4 number 1 seeds still in this thing. Oregon, North Carolina, Kansas, they're all still in this. So obviously the Blue Bloods, the favorites, are still alive to cut down the nets. I still say it's going to be either North Carolina or Kansas. Of course, I wouldn't mind seeing Syracuse win this. But give me your thoughts on the rest of the NCAA tournament, which, by the way, gets back underway tomorrow night. Coverage starting at 6 over on News Channel 5. So we certainly invite you to check that out. Right now, we're going to invite Jonas. We're going to invite Jonas onto the program. He's on line 1. Hey, Jonas.
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing good. I'm still trying to get used to this new phone. We're in the other studio, so sorry for the dial tone there. What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, I'm great, man.
Good. What you got for me tonight?
Well, I just want to say I think the Titans going to have a pretty promising season. I understand they're building right now, but it looks like the Tennessee Titans are really going to have, a nice process of building this year.
Jonas, does the whole ownership thing bother you? It seems to be bothering the folks at the NFL. Does it bother you? Do you sense dysfunction within the organization? Do you still think that the Adams family could turn around and sell the team, or do you think that they're on pretty steady ground right now?
Well, that's you can go either way with that. But the Adams family, maybe they need to look at kind of cleaning some of the acts up. But, every organization has its problems.
No, you're right. And look, I've said this over and over about the Tennessee Titans. They have the one thing that you need to build a franchise with. They have a franchise quarterback, a guy that could potentially be here for the next decade plus. And if you build around him, that's a good starting block, obviously. And if you're able to build around him, you can win some games.
Absolutely. They're going to have to work on some wide receivers, which I think they was looking at some free agents this year on doing that. So, yeah, like you said, they built around the quarterback, so that's a good start. And I just want to say, hey, thanks for taking my call.
Hey, thanks for calling. We appreciate it. Call back anytime. I believe we have Paul on line 2.
Yeah, it's Paul.
Hey, Paul. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Doing good, man. I just want to make a quick comment on MTSU. Amazing what they did. But
yeah.
I also want to remind. I just turned it on and tuned in, so I don't know if somebody's already commented. But MTSU also put Vanderbilt's baseball team out yesterday, or beat them yesterday.
Yeah, 7-4. Yeah, so that's good things going on there at Murfreesboro. I'm sure that was obviously that's a bigger win for MTSU than it is for Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's got bigger fish to fry, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure that was a huge win for them, coming off a successful weekend for the men's basketball and women's basketball teams as well.
Yeah, it is, and I mean that's a big deal right there. Vanderbilt, in my opinion, there's no better college baseball team out there. So MTSU doing that yesterday, maybe they took them lightly, but that's pretty impressive. So I just wanted to chime in on that while you guys are talking basketball.
Sure. I mean, while I have you here, I mean, what do you think the future is for the MTSU basketball program? Do you think the arrow's pointing up? Do you think this is the start of something big?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I mean, of course, being from Rutherford County, I would love to see it. I mean, they're definitely on the right path. This should give them some momentum into better things, I hope. So.
Well, thanks for the call, and we appreciate it. And certainly, you got to feel good if you are from Rutherford County or you're MTSU alumnus or you live in Murfreesboro, whatever the case may be. The one thing you have to caution yourself, though, is now that MTSU is on the map, a lot of eyeballs are going to be on Kermit Davis, and there could be opportunities for him to perhaps go elsewhere. So that'll be something we'll have to monitor as we go along. Meanwhile, in women's action, Lady Vols still alive in the NCAA tournament. The Sweet 16, their game coming up on Friday out in Sioux Falls as they take on Ohio State. And Lady Vols been struggling through most of the regular season and through the SEC tournament. But Holly Warlick has got the Big Orange playing some pretty good basketball right now. Wins over Green Bay and Arizona State in the NCAA tournament. And now they move on to the Sweet 16. They seem to be peaking at the right time. And the ladies left for Sioux Falls today. But before they did, they got a surprise visit at today's practice. None other than UT head football coach Butch Jones, who had quite a pep talk for the Lady Vols. Check it out.
I know you guys got to get going, and I just wanted to come over here, and it's kind of been a yearly thing, but really last night I sat and I said, what am I going to say to y'all that really can, if it's one thing that you can take that really makes a difference, that maybe makes you self-reflect, makes you maybe reinvent yourself for the Sweet 16. First thing I tell you is this: you have a chance to create your own legacy. You play for a tradition-rich basketball program, but go create your own legacy. Be your own legacy. You have that opportunity. In football, we talk about one play at a time. Snap and clear. What does that mean? Play a snap, clear it from your mind. If you look, we talk about effort. How many times in basketball where a game is decided by 2 points, and maybe in the first quarter or second quarter, you're late in transition, you don't give your all, and it's an easy hoop and you end up losing by 2. And then you go back at the end of the game and you say, if I would have known that one transition would have been the difference between winning and losing, maybe I would have gave a little more effort. Because at Tennessee, it's giving your all for Tennessee every day, right? My all. So here's what I would challenge you with. If you create every possession as though it's your last possession, every transition, whether you're on defense, whether you're on offense, pushing the ball down the court, or setting up your offense, play that possession like there's 5 to 10 seconds left in the game. And then whatever happens, clear it from your mind and play the next. If you get with a one possession at a time mentality, I guarantee you your whole mindset will change in how you play defense, how you play offense. And here's the other thing. When you go there, rent the gym. Rent the gym. You're going there to rent the gym. You want people to sit in the stands and watch you and say, I don't know what they have, but they have something special about themselves. That team is different. When there's a teammate out on the floor, go sprint and pick her up. When she makes a great play, give a high five, give a chest bump, because that thing is contagious. And you talk about confidence. In football, you wear your opponent out mentally and physically, okay? Mentally, psychologically. How do you wear your team out, your opponent out? In basketball, by talking all the time. Talking on defense, communicating, getting together at a free throw. Even when you're in the free throw line behind the rebound, calling out your box out. All those things, that's part of having fun and renting the gym. And so the one thing I would leave you is this: play every possession as though it has a life of its own. That's all you got to do. And then what happens, happens. Leave it on the court. But everybody's proud of you. And, we were in Orlando when you guys were playing, and we had the whole family around the TV. And you represent a lot of people, but most importantly, you represent your last name, your family's brand, and the Lady Vols brand. And just enjoy it and create your own legacy. All right?
Thanks, Coach.
How y'all break it down?
How we break it down?
Say together.
What we say? Together.
On 1, 2, or 3, or 1, 2?
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, together?
Yeah. Together on
Right.
3. 1, 2, 3.
Together. Have fun.
Thanks.
All right, pretty cool stuff there. UT football coach Butch Jones talking to the UT Lady Vols as they get set for their Sweet 16 matchup against Ohio State Friday in Sioux Falls. Good stuff there. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk some spring football. Tennessee State head coach Rod Reed, good friend of the show, he's going to join us to talk about Big Blue as they're back at spring practice. We'll get to that in your phone calls right here on SportsLine. Stay with us.